Jim Glickenhaus. It's been a few years since we last met in the Nürburgring pits.
Absolutely.
How do you go from having a father who sets up a Wall Street banking company to being a film director and then to having what is a huge car collection and now your own car brand? That's quite something.
Well, I think that as you get older, you realize that the only commodity is time, and you have to do what your passion is. And my wife kept saying to me, look, Jim, you made movies, you were successful, you work with your dad in Wall Street. What you really want to do is build cars. Why don't you just try it? And that's what I did.
But not exactly the Henry Ford type of car.
No. They're a bit different than the ones Henry Ford I made. Maybe what the Deuce made, right, when he went to Le Mans and fought Ferrari in the Ford-Ferrari wars, perhaps.
Well, I guess so. You've had a few sort of gambles at the moment with Ferrari, and obviously
absolutely.
you own a classic Le Mans Ferrari race car, along with a few other notables.
Yeah.
But this car, road car, race car, built from the ground up, from what I understand.
Absolutely.
2.6 million US, I'm hearing?
It's that would be about it. It's 2.1 million euros. For the race car, and the road car is 2.3 million euros.
Okay. What does that get you? There's a lot of race car technology in this. I see there's the same lights that we had on. We've got the same lights that we had on the P45 here in terms of a charge system, so it must have some sort of KER system.
No, it doesn't. These are actually the Le Mans race lights. So what this tells you is the fuel level of the car, the oil level of the car, and the position the car is in. So my idea was that when we pull into the pits, they know if they need to add oil, and then as they're refueling, they see it go up so they don't spill. Because in P45 Competizione, we had a faulty nozzle and we splashed on the exhaust and it went up, so I want to avoid that. Yeah.
So, okay, so give me the drivetrain on this, because as you said, it's ground up, it's a brand new carbon tub.
What I wanted to do was, with Ferrari P45 by Pininfarina, I began with the Ferrari Enzo and a design idea. P45 Competizione, we tried to make basically Ferrari GT2 with our own design. Then I said, you know what? I want to start from the ground up like a constructor. So we designed and engineered a unique carbon fiber chassis. It has front and rear subframes, all of the suspension components. We sourced a race motor. We developed it ourselves with Bosch and with Auto Tecnica Motori. And I wanted to make a car like the old days of sports cars. A car you could drive through the mountains with someone you loved, and then you could drive to a racetrack, tape the headlights, take racing, and when you're done, drive it home. And that's what I want to do with this thing. There's no difference between these two cars. They are the same car with a road wing, a race wing, a road to splitter, a race to splitter. And what I want to do at the ring is to drive it around Nürburgring in the road trim, drive it into the paddock, convert it to the race car, have it race at 24 hours, and hopefully drive it home.
And we hear that Le Mans are now looking at adjusting or tweaking some of the regulations to allow you to compete. Is that rumor, or is that...
No. Listen, I think fans like what we do. In the days of racing in the 60s, the great Ford-Ferrari wars, the rules came second to a show and a battle. And I think what we're saying to the organizers are, look, we're not homologated. We haven't sold 1,000 cars. We're never going to sell 1,000 cars. But I'm legitimately trying to sell some cars. It meets the regulations of GT3. It meets every GT3 rule and regulation. Let us race, do what the Nürburgring does, put us in an experimental class so the manufacturers don't care if we win in the class. We're the only car in the class. So what does it matter if we come in first in our own class? But the fans love it, and that's what I want to do. I race for sport. I don't care about, being the fastest manufacturer in the world or anything like that. I race like the great privateers of Mr. Canetti, Maranello Concessionaire, Scuderia Filippinetti, Jim Hall, Bruce McLaren when he started racing, Mark Donoghue. This is what I want to do.
And that brings us, I guess, to the money side, because there's no way you can develop a car like this and make a return on it.
None.
It's got to be, as you say, just for the love of it, just for the pure desire. You know, that's quite something as an individual to stand up there and say, I'm going to put my money behind this, and have really no way of getting your money back on it.
Well, that's what we're doing, and we're finding a few customers who see the vision of what we're doing, and that's why we charge what we do, and any monies we make from that goes to developing further cars and racing, and they understand it. And if they're wealthy enough to do it, they understand that I'm going to make some money from it, but I'm not going to take that money home. It's going to stay in the company, and we're going to keep building cars. And the thing about it is, who knows where this could all go? You know, if you said financially, you're going to take a Ferrari Enzo, give it to Pininfarina, make an homage to your P34 that won Daytona, your P34. They say you're nuts. You're going to make it an abomination. But you know what? That car turned out pretty well, and financially, who knows what that could be worth in 20 years?
What did you say? You know, you've ended up one in class, although the class was very small.
We won an FIA World Championship with our Curtis car.
And again, the development of that technology, I remember looking at what was your capacitor in essence, your store in the car, and you know, you've had, how many times have you now run at Nürburgring? And obviously every year it develops up and it gets, you know, better and better. So it's only by running in race that you develop a car in essence, or you refine it.
No, that's what does it, and that's what will enable us to make this work on the road. Because if you can run 24 hours at Nürburgring, you can run 200,000 miles on the road.
Yeah, it's better than sticking a driver in there 24/7 and just...
And doing laps in Nardo.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that really prove?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can fly in the Flugelplatz and crash down, and you can go from the Grand Prix track through the Nordschleife in the rain, in the fog, at night, and you can get bumped by a car and, you know, not go off the road, at the end of the race, you strip it down, you look at the suspension, you see what's worn, you fix it, and you go back again and do it. It's a much better car.
And that's how you've learned with the guys from the team. I noticed you're wearing Lightspeed Aviation Racing.
That's our partner.
Okay.
He's our first customer.
Okay.
He bought that yellow car over there. He's going to race alongside us. And the one thing I say to customers that's true, there's no factory car in customer. We're equal cars, equal chance of winning. Any improvements going to both cars. We're a partnership, and our hope is eventually to get enough customers that we could actually go the step of building a private LMP1 car and going and competing in Le Mans in the top class. That's our goal.
Because you did a huge amount of development with LMG and again, that's come through into this car.
Yeah.
Again, sourcing the components and putting the right components together, which again is a huge challenge, because it's only as good as the weakest link in essence in an engineering chain.
We're getting great sponsors and partners. We have Dunlop, who are working with us on special tires. We have Bosch Motorsports, who are helping us develop the engine. We have Auto Tecnica Motori, who is working on the Honda HPD race engine to make it tractable and a lot of torque and a lot of good response. Isoclima, the glass company, made us the world's thinnest legal car windshield. It's made the same stuff they make Gorilla Glass out of. It's 2-3 millimeters, has heating elements in it. The road and wheel and race tires are the same dimensionally. So even though the race wheels are 18s and the road wheels are 19s and 20s, the overall dimension is the same, so you can swap them out. You don't have to do suspension changes. Yeah,
because again, you know, what is good on the road or looks good on the road, a 19-inch wheel isn't the best to go racing.
Exactly.
You want lighter sprung mass.
Exactly.
We've talked already about how the car was developed. Let's actually take a look at the car. If you can guide us around it.
Yeah, let me show you the essence of the car. When you think of a GT car, the manufacturers have a problem that we don't have. They have to build a cockpit that's wide enough to fit two very large Americans. I don't have to do that. So I have to build a cockpit that fits within the GT3 regulations, and I'm allowed to do it narrower. So I do that, and then the air is able to flow through the car and around to the rear wing much more efficiently. The other thing is, it's very helpful from the cockpit to be able to see the wheel and tire and the apex. You're not allowed to have an opening that you can see that. But the rule says from a plane. So we have designed it so from a look-down view,
From above,
you don't
there's no
see
visibility.
There's no visibility.
But from the driving seat, I can see
it. You can see the wheel working.
just in here, you've got a
apex.
complete opening.
You have a complete opening. The other thing is, you have to have mirrors for regulations. They have to be mirrors, they have to work, etc. But there's nothing in them that says that you can't use television screens and cameras to see. So what we do is, we build this as an very efficient mirror. It trims out the wake vortices on the rear wing, and the advantage is that even though it's not easy to see from the car, you see the screens. Those are the screens. See as the car rotates?
Yes, I can.
So it's right
yes.
there.
Okay, so either side of your steering wheel, so your central rev counter in the middle again, as usual, as you would expect, but then either side you've got these two small screens which are based on using your bullet cams in essence in your screens.
Yeah.
But it also gives you that aerodynamics that you need for the airflow.
And it's it's within the regulations.
Okay.
The other thing is this, they're minimum heights. There's a minimum fender height, but there's nothing that says you can't have a form like this, so this is a minimum GT3 fender height.
So this brings you to regulations.
Same thing on the roof. Look,
okay.
That's how we've lowered the car. The car is, this is the top of the car.
So that's your spot height,
Yes.
that's your measurable regulation height.
Yes.
But then you can bring your actual cocoon down lower, which gives you a far flatter
yes.
and greater aero.
Lower drag.
Yeah.
Far
yeah.
flatter.
And again,
that's the key. It's aerodynamic efficiency. How much downforce can you make without making drag? And that's the thought and the design behind it.
and your rigidity as well, because you were saying about that narrower
It makes
compartment.
it much stronger.
You've got a lot wider side pods,
Yeah.
which give you that structural rigidity.
Exactly.
And this airflow, which we've seen before on concepts, but I don't think we've seen it as defined with, what I call the sort of the little chicken coop at the back.
Yes, exactly.
It's this is a very large flow area.
And it's also a long tail car. If you look at the great Porsche 917 longtails, you saw what they learned is as you narrow the canopy and you flow the air, you trim the air and you manage it all the way through. This is our road wing, of course, which is lower than the race wing
Yes.
over there.
Yeah.
But it's plug and play, bolt in, bolt out.
But again, is the road wing trimmable as well, or is
No,
it?
we didn't do that because I wanted to keep it simple and race-like. But the car is modular. It comes completely apart with hand tools. Like, look at this. They just took the fender off, unbolted it. You can see the engine. You can see all the parts. The roll cage is so strong it can bolt in and out for the road version. Same interior. And that's really the idea, to make a modular car that's easy to work on. You can get to things. And if you prang it, all you have to do is unbolt it to a hard point on the chassis, which tells you haven't damaged the chassis, and put on a new fender.
The thing that strikes me about this as well is it's not like, say, a Jaguar XJ220 where you had a lot of aero and not a lot else.
Yeah.
It's completely chocker full of engineering. So although it's the form and function work together, we haven't got huge voids in it. So again, you haven't had to design the aero.
No, because the
aero's
cooling
sake.
efficiency of new engines is so good that you can design what you need and you don't need an inch more. So it enables you to narrow the cockpit. The key is narrowing the cockpit.
Okay, so again, it's that narrow compartment for the driver and passenger, and then it's about getting it down as slim as possible then towards the rear, which you're doing.
Yeah, and you can see our engine back there and see how it's around the other side. You'll see how compact it is.
Yeah. One thing I'm noticing, it's kind of becoming a Jim Glickenhaus trademark now, New York street plates, which is great to see. And they fit beautifully on the car.
Well, since I know I have to run a plate on it, I always make sure you can put it on. This I'm very proud of. This is a real Italian manufactured Prover plate. We are a constructor, and we're registered with the FIA and the Italian Auto Club, and that's a real plate. So this car you could drive through the streets of Geneva legally with that plate. It's a Prover plate.
Knowing you, you'll do that.
Oh, I'll do it someday. So
Okay.
this is the door handle, the hinges. On the race car, there's a pull pin, so if you crash, the marshals can open it.
From a
Just
safety point of view,
Yeah,
yeah.
just take the door off. I mean, here's the thing also. This is a real car. Like, listen to the door close.
Wow.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
solid, you know, it closes.
Which again, you kind of would expect rigidity on something that's like this, but not necessarily a thud as resounding as that with a door closure. Jim, sit in your creation and
Yeah, I'm gonna,
we'll talk us through it.
Yeah, I'm going to take off the... Makes it a little easier to get in.
Yes. I guess for a street car as well, it's a pretty good anti-theft device.
Yeah, it is. You can take the steering with you. It's kind of hard for people to steal it if you do that. But you can see, I mean, you can see from the mirror, from the cockpit, I mean, just how much, you know, of the rear you see. And the other thing we tried to do, I mean, for 40 years, I've been driving exotic cars. And I got so sick of like a brand new Ferrari Testarossa that had an owner's manual that was too big to fit in the glove box. It
Okay.
seems stupid. So everything is here. Here's the brake ballast. It's easy to access it. Here are all the buttons you need, the shifts in front of you, the paddles. It's very comfortable. The vision is panoramic. There's plenty of headroom, air conditioning, heater, and it's plug and play electronics. I mean, this whole panel comes out if you need to. It's like
Okay,
no
so again,
problem.
like you were saying about it being very modular in terms of that. Adjustability in terms of, obviously, is it tailor-made to your
Oh,
clients?
it's completely,
or-
yes, but it's completely adjustable.
Okay.
For the race version, the seat has to be fixed
Yes.
because they certify your clearance. The road, the seat could move, the steering column can move up and down and towards you, and we can make adjustable pedals, so it's no
Okay.
problem.
So again,
I
it's-
actually like this. I like to be reclined, and I like my legs like this. It's because it's sort of the way you drive Ferraris. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but
Yeah.
it's good. Because in the days when the clutches were so hard that if you didn't have some, you know, if your leg wasn't up like this, you just couldn't. do
yeah,
the
it's
clutch.
more sort of foot high rather than the sort of the Porsche 911 where you're sort of sitting in a regular seat, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're reclined. There's a little bit L and P1. You're reclined back, and your feet are higher. But the paddles, everything's, you know, the turn signals are all reachable. These are all the measures, which on the street don't mean much, but you have, you know, brightness and control.
I was going to say, so in terms of for the street, it still is very much a race car.
Oh, this is a race car for the
We
road.
won't be looking to see this sort of fitted with sort of the niceties that we all get used to in cars today. It will be a race car for the road in essence.
Yeah, I mean, if someone wants it bespoke, we can do anything.
Hmm.
I mean, you know, look at Ferrari P45 by Pininfarina. That's a very luxurious car. And Meg and I have driven that 800 miles through Sicily in the broiling sun with the air conditioning, so it's no problem. And it won't overheat on you or anything like that. But if you said to me, I want wider seats and, you know, plusher and all, you know, leather and 3 cup holders and a, you know, 5,000 watt stereo, we'll put it in. I don't know.
But of course, the more you put in,
Oh,
the more weight,
yeah,
and
the more
everything
weight,
is
yeah.
power to weight,
Yeah,
ultimately.
exactly.
So, because the power on this car, what are we looking at?
Oh, in the road version, you're looking at a car that'll weigh, with a splash of fuel, about 1,100 kilos. So
Okay.
it's lightweight. So from the V6 twin turbo motor, 650 horsepower, 750 newton meters of torque. I mean, I frankly think it'll be traction limited, you know?
And again, talking about the turbos and everything else, we're seeing more turbos because of emissions, and
And
obviously,
the efficiency, fuel
Yeah.
efficiency. Look, racing and in life, it's very important that we all get a little greener. I mean, and this motor is much less than a non-turbo motor. And you get a much more compact engine, so you can package it easier and get the aero that you need. And I think it's great. Now, as a bit of nostalgia, this I 3D reverse printed from my Ferrari P4. So you get a Ferrari P4 air duct here when you get the car.
just to give it a little bit of retro,
Yeah,
obviously you felt that worked really well.
been a good luck piece for a while.
Excellent.
But it's
Well-
comfortable and, you know, it's not an issue.
I'm sure you don't need luck. I'm sure it will be successful for you.
I hope so. I mean, they have to teach me how to do this. There. Okay. But this is the steering column, and
Yes.
it's all pretty straightforward. And the only thing you have to remember is to stand in front of it when your wife gets out in her miniskirt.
Yeah, and the grocery space, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not bad to get out.
Jim, it's been an absolute pleasure. Fantastic to see this, not just on the drawing board, but actually in the carbon. Wish you all the best with the future.
And I hope you guys come to the ring and see us race.
I'm sure we will.
Thank you so much.
See you
it's
at
great
Le Mans.
to see you again. Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.